Okay, so this continuation of lesson 5.1. So in chapter 5, lesson 1, we spent the first half of this lesson filling out your foldable. Looks like this with all your terminology in there. And hopefully we're going to continue to use that. But we're gonna use all that information to find missing angle measures. If we have two lines, two parallel lines cut by a transversal, the coolest part about this is even though you have 8 different angles, if I give you the measure of one of them, you can find all the other ones. So in this example, they made angle 1 50. They told you the measure of angle 1, because that's how we say that when the M is front, the measure of angle 1 is 50. Well, if angle 1 is 50, I can find every single other angle because of all of the things we talked about. Okay, way back 2 lessons ago, when we talked about vertical angles, we know because 1 and 3 are vertical angles that is 50 degrees. All right, we know that 1 and 5 are corresponding angles, so that is 50 degrees. And the corresponding angles are equal when they are parallel. And then look at there, 5 and 7 are vertical angles, so since 5 is 50, so is angle 7. Now how do we find the other 4? Well, let's go back to angle 1. Angle 1 and 2 make a straight line. And the straight line, remember, is 180 degrees. So if angle 1 is 50, 180 degrees together means that angle 2 is 130 degrees. If angle 2 is 130, angle 4 is 130 because it's a vertical angle. If angle 2 is 130, then angle 6, which is is corresponding to angle 2, is also 130 degrees, and angle 8 is 130 degrees. So if I give you one measure, then every other angle is either that measure or that measure subtracted from 180 to get the answer. Okay? So let's look at slide number 7. We've got a word problem. We've got a furniture. I don't know why you would make furniture with crooked shelves, not perpendicular, but you know, I'm not a designer, so that is what it is. They tell you we've got parallel lines. You can see them, A and B, right here. If A and B are parallel, which they tell us, if the measure of angle 2 is 105, so they're giving us 105. They're asking us to find the measure of angle 6 and the measure of angle 3. Okay, so measure of angle 6, well, 2 and 6 together make that straight line. So 180 take away 105 means that angle 6 has got to be 75 degrees. And then, since angle 6 is 75 degrees, angle 6 and angle 8 are alternate interior. And when we got parallel lines, those things are congruent, which means angle 3 is also 75 degrees. All right, so we're going to do letter B on our own. Refer to the situation above. Find the measure of angle 4. Justify your answer. Now remember, this is the hard part. Angle 2 is the only one they gave us. That is the only one we are for sure without a doubt. So whenever I'm justifying my answer, I have got to relate that answer back to angle 2, our given angle. So, and that's what this tells you over here on the box. You have to always take it all the way back to angle 2 because that's the one they started with. So angle 4, is it related to angle 2? Here and here. Your answer should be yes. They are corresponding angles because 2 is on the left and bottom. And if they're parallel, that means they're equal. So angle 4 is also 105 degrees. And my justification, because angle 2 and angle 4 are corresponding angles. That's my justification. So that's the hardest part for today, is that everything has to be justified, and has to be justified with those terms that we filled out our sheet with. I have to use those terms. All right, let's do some more of this. Okay, here's a super complicated looking picture, but you'll know A and B is parallel. These two lines are parallel. They give us angle 2 is, so I'm going to put in 135 because that's what angle 2 is. Find each given angle measure and justify your answer. All right. So angle 9, the measure of angle 9. Do we see where angle 9 is? Okay, angle 9 is right here. Now, this is a tough one to see. Now, angle 9 isn't exactly equal to angle 2, but 9 plus 10, those two angles together have to equal angle 2. So, if I know that, and I know that angle 10 is 90 degrees, what's 135 minus 90 degrees? Should be 45 degrees. Now, my justification is angle 2, the measure of angle 2 equals the measure of angle 9 plus the measure of angle 10 because they are vertical. And remember, vertical angles are equal. And 135 minus 90 degrees is 45 degrees because angle 10 is 90 degrees. 135 minus 90. Okay. Angle 7. Now remember, we got to go back to angle 2. Look at angle 7 and angle 2. Is there a relationship between those two angles? Yes, there is. They are alternate interior angles. And since they're parallel lines, they're the same measure. So the measure of angle 7 is 135 degrees. My justification, because, and I'll let you write that, angle 2 and angle 7 are alternate interior angles. And I will let you abbreviate that. That's my reason. They're alternate interior angles, and if they're parallel lines, alternate interior angles are equal to one another. They are congruent. Okay, flip it to the next page, and you will see, ooh, more of these. All right, take a look. They give us two angles. They tell us angle 2 is 110, so I'm going to write that in here. And they tell us angle 11 is 137. So every one of these angles can be related back to either angle 2 or angle 11. So let's start with the measure of angle 7. Angle 7. Now, angle 7 is not directly related to angle 2. So actually I'm going to skip angle 7. I'm going to jump down to angle 8. Number 5, angle 8. Can you see that because S and T are parallel, and if I'm looking at the transversal R, angle 2 and angle 8 are alternate interior angles. So they're parallel lines, so the measure of angle 8 is 110 degrees. Why? Because angle 2 and angle 8 are alternate interior angles. Okay, now see how angle 8 is right next to angle 7? Now we can go back up to angle 7. If angle 8 is 110 degrees, angle 7 and angle 8 make a straight line, which means together they have to equal 180 degrees. If angle 8 is 110, that means 7 is 70 degrees. But now, my justification, I have to take it all the way back to angle 2. So here's my reason, and watch this carefully. Because angle 7 and 8 are supplementary, and angle 2 and angle 8 are alternate interior. So I have to take it back to angle 2 because that's one of my given. Measure of angle 3. And now this is dealing with a different angle. Angle 3 is not going to be related to angle 2, but it probably is related to angle 11, which they told us is 137. It is corresponding. So because they're parallel lines, corresponding angles are equal, congruent. So measure of angle 3 is 137 because angle 3 and angle 11 are corresponding angles. All right, can you find angle 6? Angle 6 right here relates to angle 2. It is 110 degrees because angle 6 and angle 2 are corresponding angles. How about angle 13? If I look closely, angle 13 is right opposite of angle 2. So it is also 110 degrees. Do you remember that terminology? Because angle 2 and angle 13 are, old terminology here, vertical angles. And the last one, angle 4. Angle 4 is tough because angle 4 isn't 137 degrees. Now we already talked about the fact that 3 was, and 3 and 4 together make a straight line. So 180 minus 137 is 43. So angle 4 is 43. 2 steps on this one. Because angle 4 and angle 3 are supplementary. And angle 3 and angle 11 are corresponding. 2 steps on those. I know this is tough, but hang in there, okay? We will work on this more. All right, slide over. Slide number 10 is some multiple choice using the same information. All right, A and B are parallel. Find the value of x. Well, x is right here. Now, x is not 70, but this one is 70 because that one's corresponding. And set that angle and this angle have to equal 180 together. They are supplementary because they are a linear pair because they create a line together, which means that has to be 110 degrees. All right. In the second one, line A, Y and Z are perpendicular. Excuse me. X is parallel to line Y, and line Z is perpendicular to AB. That's that 90-degree angle there. Okay, so if angle 1 is 50 degrees, what's the measure of 2? Well, if angle 1 is 50 degrees, I know that this is 50 degrees because they're corresponding. And I know that this one has to be 130 because that makes 180 degrees to make a straight line. So 130, take away this 90, gives me 40 degrees. All right, that's the end of the lesson. And you may still have some questions. The justifying is definitely the hardest step here. All right, but just keep in mind, as long as you're using one of your terms or maybe 2 of your terms from that sheet, you know, vertical angles, supplementary angles, alternate interior, alternate exterior, corresponding, all of those, then you are probably on the way there. Everything is either 1 step away from a given angle or 2 steps away from a given angle. So you'll have your worksheet, your pink worksheet. Please see me if you have any questions. Good luck.